Hello everyone, I am Dr. Nilanjana Bhattacharya Nath from Swami Vivekananda Institute of Modern Science. Today I am going to discuss ancient human genome. This topic is something different from my previous topic. This is very interesting and I divide it into two parts. In first part, I will be discussing about the ancient DNA and in second part, there will be human evolution and genome study. So let's start ancient human genome. In 2000, when the term archaeogenetics was initially proposed to describe the study of the human past by using the techniques of molecular genetics, ancient DNA studies were in their infancy. At that time, DNA data samples provided by geneticists to archaeologists, anthropologists and linguists for archaeogenetic studies were almost entirely derived from living populations. These DNA samples were mostly ancient DNA samples which are restricted to mitochondrial DNA, that is meat DNA or mitogenome. It was already clear that ancient DNA could play a much greater role once a number of major technical problems were resolved. Next, ancient DNA. Ancient DNA or aDNA has been extracted from late quaternary plant and animal remains in recent years with the main focus on frozen specimens from permafrost deposits. So what is permafrost? The ground that remains at or below 0 degrees centigrade for 2 or more years underlies about a fifth of the land surface of the earth is known as permafrost. The goal of this area of research is twofold: to first recover intact DNA and to then sequence the overall DNA. Ancient DNA extracted from human bone and teeth can potentially be used to determine the sex of an individual, provide phylogenetic information, indicate familial relationships, and identify the presence of diseased pathogens. This area has been greatly hindered by the problem of contamination by modern human and pathogen DNA. aDNA is often present in significantly smaller quantities than in modern bone and teeth. As there is little aDNA, the sequences need to be amplified using PCR, that is polymerase chain reaction, where the errors can occur. PCR is designed for modern DNA and therefore can better amplify modern intact molecules than fragmentary ancient ones. Next, the contamination and correction of ancient DNA. One of the major problems that prevented the widespread sequencing of hominin ancient DNA for several years was contamination. Genetic material extracted and sequenced from a tissue sample of a living individual will consist largely of DNA fragments from that individual, that is also known as endogenous fragments, if standard laboratory practices are followed. Because ancient DNA is so scarce and fragmented, most of the genetic material extracted from fossils tend to be exogenous, usually either from environmental microbes or humans who handled the fossil. The latter type of DNA is especially troublesome, as present-day human DNA is similar in sequence to endogenous ancient DNA from hominin fossils and can introduce biases in downstream analysis. In the past decade, researchers have developed two broad sets of approaches to correct the contamination in ancient DNA samples. First, it is now a standard practice to extract aDNA under strict clean room conditions, including UV radiation, bleach treatment of surfaces, and filtered air systems, so as to minimize the proportion of exogenous DNA in the fossil extracts. In addition with that, at the particular time of DNA library construction, scientists incorporate unique adapters to prevent additional molecules accidentally added during subsequent sequencing steps from being confused with endogenous molecules. And secondly, after the DNA has been sequenced, several bioinformatic tools can be used to either remove contaminant reads or estimate the proportion of those reads present in the DNA library. Now, different types of ancient DNA, mostly mitochondrial DNA, nuclear DNA, and pathogens DNA. These three are important source of ancient DNA. First, I will discuss mitochondrial DNA. Researchers have extracted and amplified mitochondrial DNA as well as sections of nuclear DNA from ancient samples. Mitochondrial DNA is inherited maternally. We all know that all offsprings receive the mitochondrial DNA from their mother only. So, the sequence can show maternal lineage, and modern living human mid-DNA sequences have been used to reconstruct the genetic history of Europe, focusing on whether extant peoples are descendant of Paleolithic or Neolithic peoples or even later migrations. This area of research is problematic even with modern humans, and with the problems of contamination, it is nearly impossible with ancient samples. Recent research has shown that damage to the DNA can cause changes in the sequences that mimic other mid-DNA sequences. The great success of this research has been the successful extraction and sequencing of a number of Neanderthal mid-DNA sequences, which showed that Neanderthal had significantly different mid-DNA sequences than all of the living humans currently sequenced, and were therefore our cousins and not direct ancestors. Next, pathogen DNA. Nuclear DNA sequences could provide significant information on phylogeny, familial relationship, and genetic disorders. But ancient DNA is often so fragmentary that it is difficult to sequence. A third area of ancient DNA research is the attempts to identify and amplify pathogen DNA from bone. Again, this method is in its early stages, and almost all of the results published so far have been challenged. A major problem with this analysis is that the pathogen DNA is likely to be present in extremely small concentrations if it has survived at all. A number of researchers have attempted to identify the pathogen that causes tuberculosis. We all know the name of the pathogen, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. However, it is important to note that the presence of this pathogen does not mean that the person actually had the disease, but could simply have been a carrier. Next, the applications of ancient DNA in the ancient human genome study. With the help of ancient DNA, it is possible to identify the species of unidentified bone fragments as well as produce phylogenetic information on certain species. For example, the sequence of living and ancient cattle samples from Europe and the Near East have been sequenced to determine when and where cattle were domesticated. By extracting and then amplifying intact DNA from organic materials, it is possible to determine the species of origin of that organic material. This is done using a range of species-specific PCR primers. Researchers have also been able to extract ancient DNA from animal coprolites. What are coprolites? The probable earliest vertebrate they are, and the research providing information on the range of plant and animal species the organism consumed. Ancient DNA sequences provide evidence which can be used in conjunction with archaeological and paleontological evidence to reconstruct the structure and function of fossil hominin brains. Several genes associated with human neurological disorders were inferred to show evidence of positive selection in Homo sapiens since the time of divergence with Homo neanderthalensis. These are DARK1A, a gene associated with Down syndrome, NRG, a gene associated with schizophrenia, and CADPS2 and AUTS2, both associated with autism. Ancient DNA provides the opportunity to study the impact of climate change on the structure and genetic diversity within past populations and species. Genetic change is a result of population-level processes such as recombination, mutation, selection, random genetic drift, and gene flow, all of which take place in species over tens to thousands of years. Most of these processes may be influenced by climate either directly or indirectly. Ancient DNA studies in conjunction with contemporary genetic surveys and archaeological data have greatly clarified and added much detail to the Neolithic transition in Europe. This phenomenon was probably caused by migration of agricultural populations to Europe in the beginning of Neolithic and consequent absorption of these populations within the indigenous populations. As we get closer to the present, ancient DNA surveys become more informative about our past. Overall, the ancient DNA studies strongly support the fact that human evolutionary history has been dominated by movements of populations and individuals, sometimes across and between continents. These movements were not followed by replacement, splitting, or isolation, but rather by admixture and gene flow. Genetic interchange has been the hallmark of much human evolution, both past and present. Thank you.